Hi, I'm Johnson Oroyemi, and welcome to QS Online Class.
Like I said, while I was talking about determining factor for the method used, I spoke of the fact that there are some method of preparing preliminary estimates that are already obsolete, that you can't see them in use. I mean, they are seldomly used. And one of them is cubic method. Then another one is Storey Enclosure method. Then also approximate quantities method. Now, if you look at the subheading that I have here, I said obsolete or seldomly used, because I can't say that approximate quantities is obsolete. It's just that it requires more information and is usually used at the later stage of a project. That is, it's not really, most of the time it's not used at that feasibility study stage, because there might probably not be enough information that can be used to prepare preliminary estimate using approximate quantities method. Now, but we also have some other methods which are frequently used. They are the one mostly in use these days, and one of them is the first one is unit method, and I put in brackets functional unit method, because when you're talking about unit method, you're talking about the functional unit. You're talking about the functional unit of that construction project. That is when you're talking about like bed space. If you are talking about an hostel, a bed space. If you're talking about car park, you're talking about car park space. So that's what is meant by functional unit method. Then also another method that is frequently used is superficial or floor area method. Superficial floor area method. So we discuss in detail about each one of them later. Then the last one that is frequently used is elemental method. And let me say this, that on an international basis, according to Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor, this first three method, the one that is that I put frequently used on, the first three method are the one that is recognized according to NRM1, New Rule of Measurement 1, that is recognized as method of preparing preliminary estimates. Other ones are not in NRM1 because they are obsolete and because they are seldomly used. So that's that on method of preparing preliminary estimates. Now let's go to we'll now discuss, I mean, in details about each method. But let's start with the obsolete and seldomly used method. So I'm starting with cubic method. Talking about cubic method of preparing preliminary estimate. It's derived its name from the cubic content of the building, and that's from the length, the breadth, and the height of the building. So, but there are some measures when it comes to how to go about the calculation when you are measuring. Number one thing is that the length and the area of the building is measured from the external face of the perimeter wall to another external face. I mean, from the external face to each other. That is, you take the external plan area, then you multiply it by the height of the building. That's how you get the cubic content, that you then multiply by the cost per cubic meter to arrive at your probable cost of construction project. Now let's look at a practical example is what we have here. We have this is a floor plan of a building. Then also we have the section here. In the floor plan, it's divided into two compartments. I mean, serving two different purposes. Some parts are for workshops. I mean, we have workshops in compartments up to 6 numbers. Then we have offices here, also 6 offices. But the two of them have the same length. If you look at this, if this is a detailed drawing, we will call this a grid line, this is a grid line, this is a grid line. So each grid line, I mean, in between two grid line, we have 10 meter. So 10 multiplied by 6 give us 60. That means that we have the length of the building is 60 meter. And For workshop, the breadth of the workshop is 22 meter, while that of offices is 4 meter. Then we have the section here where we can clearly see the height of the building too. In calculating our height, there are rules that guide it. If it's a pitch roof, like what we have here, you measure from the top of your concrete foundation, which is this dotted line, up to halfway the pitch roof. That is, your height of the building will be 0.6 plus the height of the building, which is 3 meter, then plus 1.5, which is half of the height of the pitch roof. So, and let's look at that better. I think it's well illustrated here. We come about the height of the building using this example by saying 600 mm, which is the top of my foundation to ground level, plus 3.00 meter, which is ground level to the roof level, then plus half of 3 meter, which is the height of the roof. Then the total of the three give us 5.100 meter. So that's the height that we are going to be using. So we multiply the length, which is 60 meter, like I've explained here. 10 multiplied by 6 give us 60 meter. Then multiply by 22, which is the breadth of workshop. Then multiply by 5.1 meter to give us 6,732 cubic meter. Here we're supposed to have cubic meter, so it's a mistake here. So it is supposed to be 3, that is raised to power 3, so cubic meter. Then the same thing goes, the same method is applicable to that of measurement of the offices space. So we have 60 meter for the same thing, because the workshop and the offices have the same length, so we have 60 meter. Then multiply by 4 meter, which is the breadth of the offices. Then multiply by 5.1 meter, which is the height of the building. Then that one also gave us 1,224 cubic meter. Don't mind, it's a mistake here, cubic meter and not square meter. So then the estimated cost of block, each block will now be, we multiply the cubic content here. Like I said, it's a mistake here, it's supposed to be raised to power 3. The cubic content here by 2,500, which is rate per cubic meter of the building, or that is for that of the workshop. So 6,732 cubic meter multiplied by 2,500 per cubic meter give us 16,830,000 naira. So then the estimated cost of the office would be 1,224, which is the cubic content, multiplied by 2,000. This time around, the rate per cubic meter for that of workshop is quite different from that of the offices. So that of the offices is 2,000 per cubic meter. So we multiply the two together. That one gives us 2,444,000. So we add the two together to give us 19,278,000. So that's the probable cost of the new project using a cubic method of preliminary estimate. I think I hope that one is helpful. The illustration, I hope it's helpful. So now let's move to another method under the obsolete or seldomly used method. So another method is what is called the Storey Enclosure method. Now, but before we go into that, I need to say something about cubic method of preliminary estimate, and it's the fact that the cubic method of preliminary estimate does not take account, it's not actually an effective method of preparing preliminary estimates, because it does not take account of the shape of the building. Now, it does not take account also of the floor level if we have more than floor levels. For instance, now if looking at the illustration, the example, the drawing that we consider, if we have if this building is like 4 floors. Now, what cubic method does is that it just takes the height, not considering the number of floor. It takes the height straight away, so to the roof level. So it does not consider, cubic method of preliminary estimate does not consider the plan of the building, the shape of the building rather, the story height and the likes of them. So that's why it is not really an effective method. Then another thing that I need to say also regarding the how you measure the height. I think because we use pitch method here, so like I said, we measured from the top of the concrete foundation to halfway of the roof. Now, if the roof is a flat roof, then you measured from the top of your height will be from the top of your concrete foundation up to 600 above that flat roof. But in a case whereby we have a parapet on your flat roof, that if that parapet is the height of that parapet is higher than 600 then you choose that height. You measure from the top of your concrete foundation up to that height, up to the height of the parapet. So, but if your parapet is lesser than 600 you measured from the top of the concrete foundation then up to 600 above your flat roof. So that's in the case of flat roof. Then also, coming back to the pitch roof that we use as an illustration, if your pitch roof is occupied, you measure from the top of your concrete foundation to 3/4 of the roof, of the height of the roof. You know, in this case, we measure because our roof is not occupied, we measured halfway the roof. But if it is occupied, you measure up to 3/4 of the roof from the top of your concrete foundation. So I believe that's helpful and that's clear enough. Another method is Storey Enclosure method, and I can say that this method is an effective method, but it went into extinct because there are no cost analysis published to actually use as rate in arriving at the probable cost of a construction project. So, but it's an effective method in the sense that it takes account of the building shape, the total floor area, that it consider if we have more than one floor, it consider different floors one by one. So it takes account of that. Then it also takes account of the vertical position of floor areas in the building. It takes account of the story height of the building and extra cost of sinking usable floor area. That is, if you have a basement in the proposed building project. So it also, Storey Enclosure method takes care of that basement too. So it's an effective method, but it went into extinction because you can't really see a cost analysis based on Storey Enclosure method. So that's why it went into extinction, but it's an effective method of preparing a preliminary estimate. Now, let's look at a little bit illustration on how to use Storey Enclosure method in preparing preliminary estimates. So we have a floor plan and it's 60-meter length, then the breadth is 30-meter, then we have our elevation, and we have the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor. So, and also from below the ground floor level is our basement, because we'll be looking at basement too. But before we actually go further, another thing that you need to know about preliminary Storey Enclosure method is the fact that the Storey Enclosure unit is calculated by multiplying by specified number. This specified number is what we call weighting. So let's go to our calculation in arriving at the estimated project cost. Now, if you look at this, we have element, we have the weighting factor, which is the weighting factor. Then we also have the Storey Enclosure unit. Now, the elements for the floor areas, we have our basement. We are going to calculate for basement separately, which is 60 by 30. So we multiply 60 times 30, So we multiply, and that gives us 1,800 multiplied by 3 gives us 5,400. Then for the ground floor area, 60, that is the length times breadth 2, give us 1,800 multiplied by 2 give us 3,600. Then from first to third floor is 60 multiplied by 30, the same dimension like we have for that of basement and ground floor. So but this time around we are multiplying with 2, based on, like I said, that the weighting factor, the way it works is that the ground floor is 2 meter, is 2, so it's the factor of 2. Then from third, from there on, you'll be adding 0.15. The higher, the more you go up by floor. So that's what is applicable here. From first floor, we have 2.15. That's for first floor. For second floor, 2.00. For third floor, we have 2.45. So you add the 3 together, then multiply it by 1,800, which is a product, the area for each floor. Then we have 12,420. Then for roof area, we have 60 multiplied by 32, which is length times breadth. Then the weighting factor for it is 1. So you multiply it together to give us 1,800. 1,800. Then for the wall area, we have for the wall area, this time around we are talking about the entire wall. So and for wall area, our guards, this time around we'll be using the word guard, that is the total length. If you look at our drawing, length is 60 meter, breadth is 30 meter. So 60 meter plus 30 give us 90, plus 60 meter give us 150, plus 30 meter give us 180 meter. So that's where we have this 180. Then we multiply it by the height of the basement, that is the height of the wall is 3 meter. So when we multiply it together, we have our area, the area for the wall, which is 1,080. So we are right, which is 1,080. Then for the ground to roof, the wall area of ground floor to roof level, so we have 180 also, which is the total length of the wall, multiplied by the height per floor, which is 3 meter. Then we multiply from ground to roof level is 5 levels: ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor, then fourth floor, then the roof level. So we calculate our wall area to roof level. That makes it 5 floor. So we multiply everything together, that gives us 2,700. So we add everything together to give us 27,000. Therefore, our estimated cost of the project is the Storey Enclosure unit, which is 27,000 at 500, whether it's in naira or it's in dollar or it's in whatsoever. So you multiply it together to give us 13 million. So that's the estimated cost of the project using Storey Enclosure method. But like I said, this method is not in use, is obsolete, because we don't really have a cost data and cost analysis based on Storey Enclosure method. So that's that as far as Storey Enclosure method of preliminary estimate is concerned. Now let's move to another method of preliminary estimate, of calculating for preliminary estimate, and that is, under the obsolete and seldomly used method, and that's approximate quantities method. Approximate quantity method is a seldomly used method of preliminary estimate, and it is because it requires sufficient information, most of which can only be available by during the detailed design stage. So, and that's why it's seldomly used. It uses the concept of bill of quantity, although unstandardized bill of quantity. And what it does is that it combines group of items that are related into one. Taking for instance now, I can say excavate trench, level and compact and blind with 1:3:6 concrete. So the quantity is multiplied by a unit rate to arrive at a sum for each group. Then all the groups are added together, then we arrived at the probable cost of the construction project. So that's all about approximate quantities method of preliminary estimate.
Thank you for joining me in this edition of QS Online class. See you in the next class.